Hi, I'm Soumya. Our team, Saurabh, Ashik, and I have worked on a project, Arista Networks OpenStack based private cloud environment. We'll now be showing a quick demo of our project. Cloud computing solutions have sophisticated management mechanism for computing, memory, and storage resources. However, the current cloud management system fall behind when it comes to considering networking. For instance, in the cloud computing software OpenStack, the logic that assigns instances such as virtual machines to nodes is a scheduler. The default scheduler only considers computational and memory resources, but it does not take into account network bandwidth requirements. This lack of network awareness in the cloud management system risks suboptimal data plane performance and a degradation of quality of service. Like, there can be a congestion of shared resources on servers, which is often referred to as noisy neighbor problem. In this project, we present a module, Traffic Analyzer, which is an extension to the OpenStack scheduler that enables network-aware placement of instances by taking into account bandwidth constraints to and from nodes. Our solution keeps track of local network resource allocation in combination with bandwidth enforcement mechanism. Here is a project architecture showing Traffic Analyzer connected to the OpenStack scheduler. We divided the implementation into three stages. First, we analyzed the performance of conventional OpenStack, then implemented the traffic analyzer, then again analyzed the performance of modified OpenStack scheduler and compared it with the conventional. Now, the module implementation will be detailed to you by Ashik.
Thank you, Soumya. In order to track the bandwidth from the host, certain parameters must be tracked and their corresponding rates must be calculated to obtain the bandwidth from the nodes. So some of the parameters that we are going to track are bytes received, the packets received, error rates in the packets received, the drop rate in the packets received, the bytes sent and the packets sent, and likewise error rate in the packets sent and the drop rate in the packets that are being sent. In order to track these parameters, we use certain libraries that aid us in this process. One such library is PSUtil. Through PSUtil, we have API calls to track the parameters so that the values can be used for further calculations. And another library, powerful library that we have used for our implementation is TimeUtils. Basically, TimeUtils is used to obtain the timestamp, and it further helps us in calculating the rate. So, going over to the code. First, we go to our base class. Traffic Analyzer is the base skeletal structure or the base class for our implementation. It contains all the declarations of the functions that we have implemented. Basically, you can see a function for each parameter, that is the bytes rate, the packets rate. Basically, it returns the values for the corresponding parameters. Moving over to our definition. So PSUtil Traffic Analyzer is the class that inherits from the base class, and here you can find the declarations. The definitions of for all the functions that has been described above. So as you can see, we have used the API calls that are offered by TimeUtils to track the parameters. One such example is the bytes received, and to calculate the rates, we just subtract it with the current with the last with the current timestamp, and we divide it by the time interval to obtain the rates. This process is repeated to obtain the rates for all the parameters that I have just mentioned before, and it's returned to the scheduler. So each time the class is called, the corresponding rates are tracked, and the values are used for calculating the corresponding rates. And finally, these are populated in this result here. This is an array, and it has been returned to the scheduler in the form of a dictionary format. Basically, the parameter name is considered as the key to this values here. So, in order to benchmark the performance of the DevStack configuration we have right now, we have chosen Rally as the benchmarking tool. And to move further to the process of benchmarking will be explained by Saurav.
Thank you, Ashik. To analyze the performance of OpenStack, we have used a benchmarking tool, Rally. In order to connect Rally with DevStack, a plugin needs to be added in the local.conf file of the DevStack directory. This plugin will enable Rally to track the OpenStack performance. Now, once the plugin is updated, the DevStack needs to be deployed using /stack.sh command. This once you enter this command, this will approximately take about 20 to 30 minutes to deploy DevStack completely. So once the DevStack is deployed, Rally needs to be installed by running the command /install_rally.sh. Now we will show the steps to ensure that OpenStack and Rally are connected. So let's open two terminals, one for DevStack and one for Rally. Now, in order to check the connection, we have to run a command called nova list in both those terminals. So, so it should basically return empty since we have not launched any instances as of now. So now in order to before launching any instance, uh, a flavor must be defined in Nova. So in our case, what we have done is we have introduced a new flavor in the command. This is basically the command that we need to write to create a new flavor. So as you can see, Nova flavor create, we put a random name. So in our case, we have used flavor.295b, 6 being the ID number, and you have to make sure that this ID number is unique and it should not overlap with other flavors which are already present in Nova. And 128 is the memory. The disk size, the CPU disk size is 1 in this case, and the virtual CPUs we have used as 4. Now, to further see the parameters of this particular flavor, we use a command called Nova Flavor Show. We can put Nova Flavor Show with ID, or we can put with name as well. So as of now, you can see the same parameters that we have put with the vCPUs, RAM, ID, the name, etc., and whether this is accessible to public as well. Now there is another parameter which is called the extra specs, and in this case it is empty. So what we will be doing is we'll be adding a bandwidth range into this column. So what we'll be doing is we will be typing a command where we'll be giving the inbound range and the outbound range of this particular flavor, which is called as flavor.295b. So we type this Nova flavor key, the flavor name, which is flavor.295b. We use this command set quota colon VIF underscore inbound average, and let's say for this case we are using 100 kbps. Now we set the outbound average. So all we have to do is just change the inbound to outbound. and this will indicate that this parameters have been loaded into into this flavor. So in order to see that, we run the same command, nova flavor show. Let's put the ID. So as you can see, in this extra specs column, we have put the values, which is the outbound average is 100 and the inbound average is 100 as well. So moving on, what we'll be doing is we'll be having now moving into the rally part. Uh, we'll be using a particular JSON script to deploy a scenario. In this scenario, what we'll be testing is that when we increase the bandwidth, we have to check whether the load duration is decreased or not. So let's test with this the inbound range and the outbound range that we have set with 100. So there is a command that we need to type here, which is called rally task start, and we have already written this JSON script over here, which is called as scheduler performance1 dot JSON. Now before I hit enter, I just want to explain that this is going to approximately going to take about 4 to 5 minutes, since we have actually put the iterations to 5, and as you can see here in this JSON script, the one that I was talking about, here we have put the new flavor that we have added, which is called the flavor.295b. The iteration time we have put it as 5 for better results, and the tenants we have used as 2 and the user per tenants as 50. And this is actually fed into the dev stack from Rally. So now moving on to the terminal. Now let's run this the script. Now, like as I mentioned, that this is approximately going to take 4 to 5 minutes. So I'm going to pause this video and I'll get back with the results. So the process has been completed and the results are shown in a tabular format. The average time for the boot server is about 10.58. For the full duration, it's 326 seconds, and for low durations, we have got 239.9. And we can actually obtain a graphical analysis for the results by typing the following command. So in this case, we use this particular command. Just copy this and paste it here. Now, in order to see the HTML file, we have to use hyphen and type open, and this will open up in the browser. So as you can see, the same values have been obtained, but it's in a graphical format. So the results obtained from the graphs are further explained by Soumya.
Thank you, Saurav. Here is a rally performance graph showing the task overview containing the load duration and full duration for running the jobs. Rally dashboard has a unique user interface that shows the graphical representation, enabling a user to make quick decisions. Here, the total duration is the time taken to complete the action. The load profile displays the performance of each iteration. Here, the number of iterations are 5. The distribution pie chart describes the ratio of the success rate. Here, the value is 100%, showing that there were hosts available to launch instances. The histogram chart shows the amount of time it took to complete the task against the scenarios. Now, coming to the results, load duration. The load duration is the overall benchmark scenario execution time. The value obtained for this scenario is 239.00 seconds. Full duration, the duration of environment preparation with context, that is 326.428 seconds. This is the value obtained. The average duration, the average amount time required for the instances to execute over a certain number of instances. The value obtained is 10.581 seconds. Now coming to the input tasks. The input task displays or reflects the scenario, that is the JSON file used, that is the task needed to complete. It consists of runner that specifies the type of load to be generated, like concurrency and the number of iterations. Next, args. Arg specifies the instance parameters such as image and flavor to be used. Third, context. Context defines the benchmark environment to be created, like the number of tenants, user per tenants, user domain, resource management workers, etc. This script is run for different bandwidth values for both with concurrency and without concurrency configurations. The load duration, full, and the average duration performance values were noted, and results were compared and analyzed for both conventional and modified NOVA scheduler. This is just one test run result. To obtain the performance, we have repeated the process for several different bandwidth values and plotted the graph for average, load, and full duration against various bandwidth values. Here is a graph showing the performance of average duration of both conventional and modified scheduler. The pink line represents the performance of conventional scheduler and the blue line for the performance of modified scheduler. It has been observed that the performance of conventional scheduler does not drastically change with increase in bandwidth. In case of conventional scheduler, the means to obtain the performance metrics from the participating hosts are not present. Even increase in bandwidth has little or no effect. For instance, from 500 kbps to 5000 kbps, the average execution time increased till it reached 1000 kbps, and later it remained almost the same. Now, coming to the modified scheduler, since the NOVA scheduler is limited to certain bandwidth, once we run the JSON script, the instant flavors are configured and updated with the bandwidth limit for booting purpose. Since the traffic analyzer keeps updating the metrics to the scheduler, once the bandwidth is limited, the value will be stored inside the scheduler flavor database, which can be used further for launching instances. Once the JSON script is run again, the instances are executed. It has been observed that the average execution time drastically decreased from 1000 kbps to 10240 kbps. As the instances are given a sufficient amount of bandwidth to execute, the average execution time decreased. Likewise, we have obtained similar results for load and full duration as well. These are the graphs showing the load and full duration for both conventional and modified scheduler. Even here, the pink line represents the conventional scheduler performance and the blue line represents the modified scheduler performance. These two graphs are the results without concurrency, and these two graphs are the results with concurrency equal to 2. It has been observed that with the increase in the bandwidth, the overall execution time has decreased. Thank you. Hope you liked our demo.